want to welcome everybody tonight. Thank you, all the new visitors and all of our members that are here. Appreciate that. And of course, we want to thank the City of Wilder for allowing us to use the facility here. Tonight, I think we're going to start with allowing our essay contest winners to present to us. And when they're all finished, then we're going to take a few-minute break. I've got a little assignment for everybody. And we're going to take a little break, and then we'll start with our business meeting. So, Miss Martha, are you ready?
I don't remember us talking about this, and all of a sudden it was the thing to do. This essay contest was up and going. And what year was that? Do we know? But it was a great idea because we have had some wonderful essays. And it's fun when we start getting them in and they're being read. People are saying, oh, these are great. And every year we get the same message, really good essays. So, hope we can keep it up. One of the things that I'm always proud to do, it's a memorial essay contest in memory of Dr. Frank Steely, who taught history at NKU and other universities around the state. So I know he'd be very proud of this. I know he would love the essays because he always encouraged young people to be doing things. Also, the winners of this contest, remember to put it on your university entrance applications and that sort of thing, because enter that you won this contest. We have 3 of our contest winners today, and we're going to start out with number 3, and it's Jacob Woolman, and I have a check for you and a certificate, and they're beautiful. You will probably put these where people can see them. It's lovely. It's lovely. Be proud of it, because I know you put a lot of work into this and learned a lot, and it's just great. Is Jacob here? Okay, come up. Okay, so you can have the microphone and
We're going to let you speak now. You ready?
yes, your turn.
Make yourself comfortable. Okay, you got space there.
Ding, ding, ding. It's what you'll hear if you drive along 4 Mile Pike. St. Joseph Catholic Church in Camp Springs, the second Catholic church built in Campbell County, Kentucky, is currently the oldest Catholic church that still has services in the county. And my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Peter Steffen, played a key role in the founding of this church. Camp Springs is a small community in Campbell County with about 12 miles from Newport. It was originally called 4 Mile. 4 Mile is named after 4 Mile Creek, which runs through the area and is 4 miles upstream from the Little Miami River. The early settlers in the area traveled up the creek bed along the old dirt riding roads that followed the creek beds. The hilly portions of the area were perfect for growing grapes, and fertile valleys were great for farmland. It is said that 6 Catholic families from Germany and Austria arrived in this area in the early 1840s. They came to escape war, hunger, and violence, and also came for political and religious freedom and opportunity to make a better life for themselves and their families. One of these great souls is my 5 times great-grandfather, Peter Steffen, who emigrated from Lothar in what is now southwest Germany. Peter was born on November 16, 1782, to Matthias and Margaretha Schwartz Steffen. In 1804, at the age of 22, Peter married Margaretha Weber, and they had 5 children before Margaretha died. Peter married his second wife, Anna Bone, and together they had 11 children. In 1841, at the age of 59, he decided to change his life and the life of his family forever by moving to America. In moving to America, he would be taking a huge risk for himself and his family. He had to sell all of the property and leave everything behind. He must have been very worried about their safety and the ability to make a better life in this new young country, the United States of America. Peter and his wife Anna and their 11 children and two of his sons from his first marriage and their families left their homes in the spring of 1841 and walked the hundreds of miles to the port of Le Havre, France. The group consisted of 21 family members, and the only possessions with them were 3 chests and a gun. They sailed from France on the ship Steely de Leon. They arrived in New York City Harbor on July 9, 1841, and from there traveled to Campbell County. After arriving in Campbell County, Peter and Anna bought 62 acres of land along 4 Mile Creek to farm on August 13, 1841, fulfilling every German's dream of owning 50 acres of land. The land was rich and fertile for farming, but needed to be cleared of trees and plowed for planting. It is hard to comprehend how difficult this would have been to do without any modern-day tools and farm equipment. Homes, too, needed to be built and their spiritual needs met. They were missing a church. The nearest Catholic church was 12 miles away. This did not sound like a lot today, but in those days it was a journey. They did not have cars or even wagons, and to make matters worse, there were no defined roads. Occasionally, a priest would come and celebrate the Mass in the homes of Peter Stephan and Michael Ensweiler, and the priest encouraged them to build a church of their own. In 1845, the small community made plans to build their church. Peter Stephan donated 1/2 acre and sold the second half acre for $10. Then, they decided to build a church on a beautiful spot on the bottom of the hill where the church currently sits. The church would be made of logs and would be 35 by 50 feet. The community was soon at work logging and building. In the autumn of 1845, they laid the foundation, and in the winter they chose, cut, and hauled the nicest trees to the site where the trees were hewn. In March 24, 1846, the community gathered and erected the church in just 8 hours. During the next 2 months, the roof was added, the logs chinked, and the simple benches and interior were finished. By May, the church was completed and dedicated to St. Joseph. At first, the church was considered a mission church under Corpus Christi Church in Newport. People in the community could now gather in a church to pray, sing, recite the rosary, and listen to the gospel. There's one thing still missing now. They did not have a priest to offer Mass and perform the sacraments. To make it easier to get a priest to come at least twice per month, they donated money and bought a horse so the priest could travel to the church. The horse was very expensive for the poor farmers of 4 Mile, who could barely make a living off of what they had. In 1848, they created a men's society to raise money to buy the sacred vessels and vestments for the visiting priests to use at Mass. In 1845, the congregation asked the bishop for a resident priest, and on October 1st, 1851, Bishop Spalding of Louisville appointed Reverend John Gold the first pastor of St. Joseph Church. St. Joseph Church became the second Catholic church built in Campbell County and the mother church for rural Campbell County. The new parish included Alexandria until 1863, 12 Mile until 1864, Cold Spring until 1870, and Melbourne until 1910. I am extremely proud of my 5 times great-grandfather, Peter Stephan, who made all of these sacrifices, leaving his homeland, opening up his home for the priest to offer Mass in the early days before there was a church in the area, and then donating some of his land to the first church. The church provided these early settlers of Campbell County a place to worship together. The log church was replaced by a beautiful red brick church, which was dedicated by Bishop Carroll in the new bell blessed on June 15, 1865. St. Church sits atop a hill overlooking 4 Mile Valley, and today the community of Camp Springs continues to worship together.
Is it Jacob?
That was
Jacob, did I call him Josh? Oh, well, anyway, you should be proud of your essay, but also your ancestors. What a wonderful thing to know. And see, if you never got in this contest, you probably wouldn't have known all of that, nor would we have. So it's just a wonderful thing. Keep up the good work, and good luck to you. Okay? Now, the second one is Logan Woolsey, and have a certificate and a check for you. Come on up, come on down. We always learn something from this exercise. That's so much fun.
What happens to all the used cooking oil, animal byproducts, and dead farm animals in the United States? It gets into rendering companies like Griffin Industries and turned into a useful product. This is how a local entrepreneur built a multi-million-dollar company and chose Campbell County for its corporate headquarters. Griffin Industries started in 1943 by John L. Griffin. To start the business, he went around local farms in Kentucky, picking up dead farm animals and loading them into the back of a truck. Mr. Griffin would deliver them to Reading, Ohio. He did this for 3 years and then decided to build his own processing plant. He borrowed $30,000 from the Small Business Administration to buy land and build the plant. He started out with 1 truck and quickly had 3. In the late 1947, a competitor tried to buy out John Griffin. The competitor, Darling, would threaten John to sell or be forced out. During the 1950s, the dead stock business expanded adjacent counties in Kentucky, also on the north side of Cincinnati, near Ripley and Portsmouth. He also started servicing a new sausage operation in Cynthiana, Kentucky. This operation was known as Weber Farms. This was the first big account he had and continued to grow. His next adventure was to figure out a way to process feathers from Mount Sterling poultry. John later figured out that there's 85% protein content in feather meal compared to 50 to 55% content in dead animals. Mount Sterling poultry killed 35,000 chickens a day. The company expanded its sources of raw material, adding Kentucky turkey operations and 2 Cincinnati poultry processors and clients. As raw material increased, so did the complexity of the business operation. In the mid to late 50s, there was an extreme tonnage in the poultry business, especially turkeys during the holiday months. In the late 50s, the company was making a good profit margin, and John always put it back in the business. They capitalized on all the competitors, including Darling. As a business, John's son, Griffey, invested their profits in better equipment. When shortened by the family's processing time and prompted to search out new resources of raw material. By the early 1960s, the company was approaching Cincinnati packing houses and took on more appropriate sounding name, Griffin Industries, Inc. John's first attempt at growth was to purchase the Columbus Reduction Company. This was a small rendering plant in Columbus, Indiana. Through a third party, Griffin Industries acquired another faculty in Underwood, Indiana. Its first transfer station was now able to move into the Louisville, Kentucky market. The next opportunity expanded and came quickly. Griffin Industries would purchase a rendering faculty in Newberry, Indiana. This plant primarily processed poultry waste, dead stock, and locker plant waste products within a 100-mile radius. A major opportunity for Griffin came in the summer of 1968. John was contracted by Martha, her husband, the owner of rendering plants in Newberry, Indiana, Henderson, Kentucky, and Jackson, Mississippi. Martha's husband, Mr. Jacob Shagan, had recently died and decided to sell the business. After Griffin visited the faculties, they liked what they saw, but the property was worth millions of dollars, much more than they could afford. They met with Mrs. Jacob Shagan to view financial records. These plans started losing about $100,000 a month. At this rate, her husband's life insurance policy would be quickly gone. It was not surprising that she wanted to raise the assets of Griffin, but could not believe that her asking price was $750,000. However, it was more money than Griffin thought it could raise. The sale went through and was closed to a purchase of $550,000. Griffin purchased another rendering faculty in Russellville, Kentucky. The faculty had a fire and needed some help. The owner's son was lost in a car accident and wanted to sell the business. The faculty was a mess and needed to be cleaned up. So when it was back up and running, Griffin Industries made money. Griffin Industries was now operating 6 plants and was bidding to outgrow office in Butler, Kentucky. In 1973, John found a 5.5-acre land in Cold Spring. The property had a vacant old farmhouse on it and was known as 8 Mile House. It was called this because it was 8 miles from the Ohio River. This house was once part of the Underground Railroad for slaves to travel up north of freedom. John purchased the property because of its location was more sophisticated for communication system and phone lines. He wasn't sure if they could tear down the old house or remodel it. The decision was to remodel it. Due to history, it had the southern look the company was looking for. This new base for operations positioned Griffin Industries for growth well beyond the 1970s. Griffin Industries continued to grow and purchase other faculties and operations in the next 20 years. One of the smartest decisions the company made was to purchase steel fabrication and welding shop. This made it possible for them to make their own equipment and modify it to fit their needs. Soon Griffin Industries would expand into southern Georgia and central Florida. In conclusion, I think Griffin Industries is one of the most successful and profitable privately owned companies. They were named 22nd most successful privately owned companies in Cincinnati. So now if someone asks you what happens to all these cooking oil, animal byproducts, and dead farm animals in the United States, you can tell them it gets into rendering companies like Griffin Industries and turned into a useful product. This is how a local entrepreneur built a multi-million-dollar company and chose Campbell County for its corporate headquarters.
Okay. You're welcome. I learned something, and what a nice thing to have for our files, what's happening and has happened in our county. So good luck to you. You did a great job. Okay, Cora. Cora Bush, and she's our second president. First, I'm sorry. You go. Yeah.
Paul Bussey, Inspiring Imagination. Paul Bussey and his company, Applied Imagination, have been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Time Magazine, and the CBS Early Morning Show, and have been the subject of a PBS Kentucky educational television documentary. Their work has been displayed at the New York Botanical Garden, the Chicago Botanic Garden, the United States Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C., the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina, the Royal Botanical Gardens in Burlington, Ontario, and Cincinnati's Craig Conservatory. While known worldwide, most people might not know that Paul Bussey and his company reside right here in Campbell County, Kentucky. My family and I have visited the holiday train show at Craig Conservatory numerous times. I've always enjoyed the wonderful combination of trains, plants, and miniature structure of the Cincinnati landmarks. I was amazed to find that the buildings were made from natural materials. On our most recent visit this past December, I learned that the company responsible for the holiday train show at Craig Conservatory is called Applied Imagination. My father told me that the founder of the company, Paul Bussey, lives, and the company itself is located right down the road from where we live in rural Alexandria, Kentucky. I was astonished and wanted to learn more about Mr. Bussey and his company. Early life and education. I interviewed Mr. Bussey and his daughter, Laura Bussey Dolan, the current owner of Applied Imagination, about Mr. Bussey's life and career. He was born in Kansas City in 1949. His mother was a weaver, his father was an inventor. Both were very influential to Mr. Bussey's success over the years. Even as a young toddler, Mr. Bussey was very interested in trains and played with them all the time. When I interviewed him, he recalled the 1/12 scale model of a steam engine he could ride on in his grandparents' neighbor's backyard. He also reminisced about wrapping gifts placed around his family's Christmas tree to look like elaborate houses. Furthermore, Mr. Bussey was always interested in gardening. Because of his father's work in electronics, the Bussey family moved from Kansas City to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and then later to Cincinnati, Ohio. Paul Bussey said he didn't know what he wanted to do for a career growing up, but he spent his first 2 years of college at Miami University of Ohio planning on being an architect. In our interview, Mr. Bussey explained that college is about opening your eyes to limitless possibility. He had a great professor at Miami who emphasized the feeling of space. Mr. Bussey recalled a specific memory in which he was walking across the campus and became aware of the three-dimensional space around him. He said, "I got it." This is when he understood creating the illusion of space. Although he was flunking calculus, he was the best in his agricultural class. To his disappointment, he realized that in the architectural field, exciting design phases about 2 weeks out of the year. Mr. Bussey then decided to transfer to Ohio State University and major in landscape architecture. Because of the different grading periods of the two universities, Mr. Bussey had to take a freshman math class as a senior. Mr. Bussey told the story of the final exam of the class, which he rarely attended. He completed half the exam before asking his professor what grade he would get on it. His professor said he would get a C, but he would get a B or even an A if he completed the whole exam. Mr. Bussey said to his professor, "I'll take the C." This shows that he was on a focused path and wasn't concerned about what other people expected of him. Mr. Bussey graduated from Ohio State University in 1972 with a degree in landscape architecture. Early career to applied imagination. From the 1970s to early 1980s, Mr. Bussey worked as a landscape architect at his own company, Paul Bussey Incorporated. The company designed creative living spaces, including decks and backyard spaces. In 1975, Paul discovered LGB's new G-scale model trains, which ran both indoors and out. His first train layout was installed in a friend's hobby store, garnering local press for the store and for Paul's landscaping company. This began Mr. Bussey's transition from a landscape architect to a garden railway designer. In 1982, the Ohio governor, Jim Rhodes, asked Mr. Bussey to create a garden railway exhibit, which would be featured at the Ohio State Fair. This was Mr. Bussey's first garden railway display, and it was a huge success. In the late 1980s, Mr. Bussey worked on residential garden railway projects. He said that these projects were the best of both worlds because he got to work with both trains and gardens. Mr. Bussey's lifelong love of trains, gardens, and architecture led to his founding of Applied Imagination in 1991. According to its website, Applied Imagination is a nationally recognized, award-winning crew of creative artists, botanical architects, and landscape designers producing original public garden exhibits, seasonal displays, and garden railways. When Mr. Bussey first started creating garden railways, he did a display at Cincinnati's Crane Conservatory, and he did not want to use cheap plastic buildings in the displays. Instead, he thought, let's make the buildings out of only the materials we find at Crane. And this was the start of the buildings that Applied Imagination constructs out of only natural materials. The building started out with one style, but progressed to include a variety of styles in more detail. According to Mr. Bussey, we make buildings the way people remember them and make them feel right. This means that the company does not create their models to scale. The goal is to respect the expression of the building through the plan. New York Botanical Garden, the Zenith. The New York Botanical Garden's Holiday Train Show is one of Applied Imagination's largest and most well-known yearly displays. In a feature in the New York Times, Mr. Bussey stated, "To me, the New York Botanical Garden is sort of the zenith of gardens in this country. In this exhibit, Applied Imagination has crafted more than 150 landmarks using seed pods, dried eucalyptus leaves, walnuts, bamboo, grape tendrils, fungus, cinnamon sticks, anything that is organic, stable, and of utility in the universe of what Mr. Bussey calls botanical architecture. Lady Liberty is a swirl of palm leaves. The Brooklyn Bridge is formed from willow sticks and elm bark. Circular Guggenheim Museum is fabricated from toadstools. According to Lisa W. Faurer of the New York Times, the New York Botanical Gardens Holiday Train Zone has become a quintessential New York holiday tradition, on a par with the Rockefeller Center tree and the store windows on Fifth Avenue, especially for parents who cannot resist missing an architecture lesson with the simple thrill of watching train cars zip past Christmas cactus. In the book Holiday Train Show, A City Within a City, Cindy Johnson, the leading botanical architect of applied imagination, writes, "There is magic in seeing a model come together from the most minute found materials, ending as a finished structure with windows going with amber light, surrounded by a lush scale landscape. Watching a train truck by for the first time only adds to the spell, and the power of the entire ensemble to charm us only increases with each passing year." Historical significance of Paul Bussey. Over 25 years after its origination, applied imagination continues to expand and experience success. In an interview for the Washington Post, Mr. Bussey stated, "I had no idea that it would become so big, but that was always my bottom line, a company that builds happiness, and really selling a lot of smiles." In the PBS KET documentary, Tracks of Imagination, Mr. Bussey said applied imagination is the culmination of everything I've ever loved to do. Mr. Bussey was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2005. While he can no longer complete the physical work of applied imagination, he noted, "Today my purpose is just to be an inspiration." He added that the workers of applied imagination are taking it farther than they ever could. It's a blessing in disguise. In her interview, Mr. Bussey's daughter, Laura, said to her father, "You have lived a life where you never stopped learning." Personally, after interviewing Mr. Bussey and touring applied imagination, I have been influenced to try and make my own structures out of natural materials and possibly even intern at the company. By encouraging people to explore and connect with nature, to use their creativity, and by being a role model to us all, Mr. Bussey has truly inspired imagination through his life's work. In our interview, my final question for Mr. Bussey was why he chose to move both his company and his home to Campbell County in 2000 from Cincinnati. He explained that, "I love the free dimension of the hills of southern Campbell County." He added that Boone County has an airport, and similarly, Kenton County is industrialized, but Campbell County is a nice blend of agriculture. Applied imagination even created a botanical garden replica of the 1840 Alexandria Courthouse to celebrate the Campbell County Historical and Genealogical Society's 25th anniversary. At the end of our interview, Mr. Bussey recalled the story of when he first moved to Campbell County and he had arrived at his new home. As soon as he got out of his car, he was pleased to find he could hear a train whistle in the distance. He stated, "That is close enough for me."
Thanks to all of you. Good luck, Janet.
They might be interested in the campbellmedia.org a few months later when this will be on there, right? So they'll get the video of this whole meeting, all these essay people.
Okay. All right, nice. But just a good job, folks. And I'm sure at this point you're glad you did it. You learned a lot. Some may even have found a job for the future. Good luck to you all. It's just great. Keep up your good work.
It's hard to do. You have to contact a lot of people, and we work really hard to try to make these as interesting as possible and to get as many people as possible that want to come and hear about this. We need your help. We need to know what you want to hear about. So I've got a little survey here for all our members. Okay, let's go ahead and get started again with the business meeting. Dan, you want to start with minutes?
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
Okay, I've got the minutes from the last meeting. The last meeting was held at the Fort Thomas Mess Hall. We had a talk by Eric Guyman on the Altamont Hotel that's located in Fort Thomas. Under reports, the treasurer's report last time, we had a balance of $5,787.97. Current membership as of last meeting stood at 257. Jan reported that the newsletter was going to be out at the end of the month, and I think we made that deadline. Thank you very much. Under email and correspondence, the Kentucky History and Genealogical Conference took place at the Kenton County Library in Erlanger on August 10th and 11th. The Silver Grove Community Reunion was scheduled to take place at Chief Sayers Park from 2 o'clock until 9 on September 8th. That didn't happen, by the way. The Pendleton County Historical Society will be celebrating their 25th anniversary on September 15th from 10 to 2 at the Friar House Museum. And the Campbell County Library in Fort Thomas will host a presentation by Holocaust survivor Dr. Al Miller on Friday, September 7th. I missed that one. Under History Day, there was nothing new to report, but History Day will take place on March 23rd at the Erlanger branch of the Kent County Library. Under Cemeteries, Kay James has volunteered to head up our cemetery project. She'll be available to take over the project in December. Under Speaking Engagements, Highland Middle School requested a historical presentation. Ken and Jan will present to approximately 90 children from the school. The topic will be Campbell County and Fort Thomas history. Under the David Leach cabin, Steve reported that he was trying to find a piece of property for relocating the cabin. He's currently pursuing property in Wilder that is owned by the Kentucky Transportation Department, and he's going to meet with officials to discuss the plan. Under office business, gifts and donations, Richard reported on the gifts and donations received over the last month, including Newport Steel letters and 1908 payroll ledger, Spears Hospital personnel book from 1972, and a book donated by Art Miller titled Harry McCormick, His Family and Ancestry. Society publications, Glenn and Charlene are in the process of reformatting the Society's Hayfield Precinct book for reprinting. Map organization, Steve asked for a member to volunteer to organize and index the Society's map collection, and we actually got a volunteer. Under other, Evergreen Cemetery, Mike reported that the next cemetery cleanup day is scheduled for September 22nd, beginning at 1 o'clock. Memorial service that was scheduled for September 15th was canceled. The Campbell County Senior Picnic is scheduled for Thursday, September the 20th. And Steve reported that Mary Gaduli, who is very experienced at writing grant applications, has volunteered to assist us with applying for grants. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan. Glenn, you want to take care of treasurer's report?
All right, we opened the month with $57.87.90. Our income was $157. We had some membership renewals, sold $54 worth of publications, and had a couple of small donations. Expenses, we resupplied the paper products and consumables at the office, repaired the doorbell, bought some folders, protectors, a small table for our research volunteer, so she can work at a computer with a large handwritten book that she's transcribing, and page protectors and some archival tape for our Sharon Picarillo, our map guru currently. Then we paid $50 to Grayson County for the sale of David Leach books, so our expenses were $360.62, and we closed the month with $5,584.59.
Thank you, Glenn. Richard, gifts and donations.
Dave Brennan Church donated us a binder on John Heck's family history. Susan Walters gave us a real neat binder on Silver Grove, a community of family and friends, pictures and stories. It's a really neat binder, as well as several Silver Grove High School yearbooks. I'm just going to sort through them to see which ones are duplicates, but we got quite a few added. And then Matthew Waters donated us a USB drive that's got most of the Silver Grove yearbooks on it, so they went through a lot of work scanning stuff in, and it's really neat to look through. That's the donations. And then regarding History Day, we're supposed to have another meeting next week. I'm still finalizing that, so I should have more of a report next month, but still March 23rd in Kenton County Library in Erlanger.
Very good, thank you. Jan, newsletter, correspondence, et cetera, et cetera.
Membership is at 620, no, I'm sorry, 264, not 624, 264 members. We just recently got a new life member. The newsletter, you should have all received it. Luckily, we got it out in time. There was a problem with the copy machine, and when the guy finally came back for the second time to fix it, he had appealed to someone higher than him, and it was a 5-minute fix. So we went through a lot of stress and turmoil before that 5 minutes came, but we got it out. Next one will be in January. It'll have membership information, renewal time. Anybody who wants to submit articles, please do so. Try to get them to me by the beginning of December. Communications, a big event coming up in Boone County. There was an article in this newsletter about Daniel Goff, who was a Revolutionary War soldier. He's going to have a memorial marker dedicated in his honor in Boone County. Now, we have these flyers, and it's a little confusing. They want you to park at the Florence Baptist Church on Mount Zion Road, 642 Mount Zion. At 1 o'clock. By 1 o'clock, they'll start running shuttles to the actual site, and this is on Saturday, the 29th of this month. The ceremony actually starts at 2. So they'll run the shuttle for an hour because there's not enough parking at the actual site where the marker's going to be. But he was, Daniel Goff, we have come to find out, if you didn't read the article yet, was associated with David Leach. So it kind of all ties in together.
And James Taylor.
And James Taylor, yes. James Taylor is the one who, when Goff applied for a pension from the Civil War, James Taylor vouched for him in a big long letter stating all of his interactions with Daniel Goff and how he knew him from David Leach. So it kind of connects there. Falmouth has sent us some new events that apparently their library is planning monthly events related to history and genealogy. They're having a walking tour of Riverside Cemetery, which is this big cemetery you see if you're going south through Falmouth. It's on the right. And there are a couple of people, famous people or kind of infamous people buried there. The bootlegger guy, Remus. George Remus is buried in Falmouth in Riverside Cemetery. He was a big Cincinnati bootlegger. Reason he's there is because later, after he shot one wife, he married somebody else and lived in Falmouth. Go figure.
Live quietly.
Live quietly, yeah. Then they're having an ancestor tea where you can come and talk about your family, roadblocks or brick walls. And then they're having a lesson on using family search in your research. The dates are all here. You can come up and look at that. And it's at the Pendleton County Library, which is right on US 27. Right here in Wilder, Bluegrass Festival this Saturday. Saturday, September 15th, 1 o'clock.
Is that what all these tents are?
Probably. Okay, Museum Day, the 22nd of September. Certain museums, you can get free admission at participating museums. I think the Art Museum in Cincinnati is a part of it. But
The
to-
Freedom Center is.
the Freedom Center, to go to it, you have to go to this website, and you can come up and copy it down if you want, and then you just click on get a ticket, and it'll show you where all the places are. So that's here.
That's a Smithsonian Institute initiative.
Yeah. Okay, the Kentucky Historical Society is having another one of their Food for Thought events on Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. It'll be or a week from yesterday, September 19th from noon to 2. Delicious food, beautiful music, and a topic uncovering the hidden story of woman suffrage, particularly as it relates to Kentucky too. Sarah Agee, Dr. Sarah Agee will be the presenter, and you can sign up online. The menu is here, sounds really good. It does cost $30 if you're not a member, and it's in Frankfurt at the Historical Society. Okay, so that's here. New classes from Family Search. One good one I saw was German civil registration. If you were in Germany, like a lot of our ancestors were, they had to register births with the civil authorities. Marriages were done that way, so there's a lot you can find if you know the village that your ancestor came from. And they're going to have a session on that registration process. And finally, we got an email from a lady who, her name is Mary Boyd, and she is working on several families in this area. And she has created a blog, and there's lots of information about these families on it. So I'll read the family names out. If you're related to any of them, you might want to check her blog out. She's like, I think, a PhD or a doctor or something. So she's pretty with it and has done a lot of research. I told her we had a Boyd family file, and she definitely wants to come up and see it. But her families are Bowker, B-A-U-C-H-E-R, Boyd, Bridges, Krieg, Lipscomb, Repton, Schaber, Schmidt, and Tyson. So I recognize some Campbell County names there. Unfortunately, none of mine, but some of you may. So her information is here, and that's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Pam, you have an update on veterans?
Everything's pretty much status quo. The number of veteran files was reported. Nothing else is going on at the moment, so.
Okay, very good. Ken, cemeteries.
He had a phone call about a man found a tombstone in Alexandria behind his house. So I went and looked at it, and the tombstone is an authentic 1915 tombstone, about this big, real thick, not like the normal little tombstone. Most of them are tall, this is real short. And it's a Christian brother who died in 1915. So I'm thinking to myself, why would a Christian brother be buried in someone's backyard in Alexandria? Made absolutely no sense at all. So Buck Seibert and I worked on this, and he looked to find the grave and discovered that this Christian brother had worked originally at St. Joseph Orphanage in Cold Spring, way back, but was not there when he died. He died in Price Hill. And he died and was buried in a cemetery for a wayward boys' home owned by the Diocese of Cincinnati. For whatever reason, the diocese closed the home, and everybody in the cemetery was dug up and moved to New St. Joseph Cemetery, including him, according to the records. So when they did that, all the tombstones in that cemetery were taken out and basically gotten rid of, because they put a massive, large tombstone for everybody, all the Christian brothers together. They didn't have individual tombstones anymore. So the only thing I can figure is that somebody in his family didn't want the tombstone thrown away and put it in their backyard. Why, I have no idea. I told this guy, based on our research, I'm 95% sure nobody's buried in his backyard, but I can't say that for sure. So at this point, we don't know. He's going to dig around a little bit, around the tombstone a little bit, because when I probed the ground about this far down, I hit something, not just about a field stone, it doesn't mean it's anything. So he's supposed to be looking into it, and I think that's as far as we're going to go with it, unless we can find a family tie with the people's home. It was right behind Palm Gardens, which is in Alexandria at the intersection up there, and several families that own Palm Gardens live there. So there might be a possibility we could trace somebody back. And the cemetery that he was in and was closed and he was reburied from was 1972. So that's not that terribly long ago. So there probably should be a connection. But how it ended up in Alexandria, I have absolutely no idea. One of those interesting things.
You think it was someone's doggy?
While you're up, you want to talk about your time with Highlands?
Yeah, that started out that we were going to do, Jan and I were going to do a talk to one 6th grade class at Highlands Middle School. As time went on, it grew to 200, and I ended up going down yesterday in their auditorium, a little nerve-wracking to stand up in an auditorium with 200 6th graders in front of me and try to keep them interested. A few did fall asleep, but most of them didn't. And I did the history of Campbell County. I had 25 pages I had prepared. I pulled no punches. I told them exactly the way it was with Pearl Bryant and the 37 flood and the fact that the body bags were laying in the armory in Fort Thomas after Beverly Hills fire and all that. So I think I kept awake with all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the speech, they stood up and clapped for me, so I guess I made some kind of impression on them. And then I gave them an assignment. I asked each one of them to write me a letter, and in that letter, tell me something they learned they didn't know before, and I wanted to go talk to their parents and their grandparents and ask them particularly about Pearl Bryant, the 37 flood, Beverly Hills fire, and the blizzard of 78. I figured all their parents and grandparents are going to know something about those 4 subjects. Ask them questions about it, and tell me what you found out about it that you didn't know ahead of time. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And I did not go because I told her that my presentation was geared to a small group. It was just Ken. She said they might call me later. But I'm not doing it for 200 people.
And when I got there that morning, I told him the last time I was in your building was 1972 when I did my student teaching there. He said it's probably changed a little bit.
Oh, that's neat.
All right. Mike, you want to give us an update on Evergreen?
The fall cleanup is still scheduled as of tonight for the 22nd, 1 to 4. So if you need a little exercise, we'd be glad to have you come out and help clean up some of the bushes and everything.
Okay. Glenn or Shirlene, you want to talk about the hayfield reprint that we're doing?
Want me to-
Yes, it's you.
Yeah, we're working on the hayfield book, redoing it. We've completed the Stonehouse section, and with some from help from a few other volunteers, we've got a family history section expanded. So most of the people, not all, but most of the people that are named there, we have husband, wife, children, those kinds of things, and their connection to the property. So after each of the sections, that appears. We're currently working on the church section and getting it aligned so it'll fit into the book. Started a glossary of some of the wonderful terms that were used in the original manuscript that we're redoing. Things like for Kirkenhaus and some other things that people might not know right off the top of their head. So we're trying to fill in as much of that as we can. We're assembling a World War I and Civil War veterans list, and we're scared to death we're going to miss somebody, but we're going to do our best to see if we can't get a complete list of those folks that were in there. And then we have the maps with Sharon's help. She's helping me redo the maps. The maps that we had were Xeroxed all 800 or 700 times and completely illegible. So we're making new original copies of the maps, and then I'm going to annotate them in Photoshop. And what we end up having to do last would be the index. So, but we're about almost 70 pages in the book right now. It looks like it's, it's going to be a completely different animal from the original. Original information is there, but a lot of additional information. So we're hoping to generate some interest so we can sell a few copies. And, the genealogy aspect, I think, will sell some. The one essay contest winner talked about the Steffens, and everybody he talked about is in the book with their family history and children and all of that. So it's a good tie-in.
Very good. Thank you. Sharon, can you stand up so everybody knows your face? Sharon Pecorillo. At the last meeting, I put a request out for somebody that wanted to jump into our map collection, which is immense, but it's just a stack of maps kind of spread all over. And Sharon said, I'll do that. And I said, sign that lady up. And we did. And Sharon, I just want to mention Sharon and another young lady by the name of Rachel Poole, who was one of our essay contest winners last year, was it, Martha?
Yes.
Last year? Yeah. Who is also coming up. These two are just incredible. Sharon has been there almost every day that the office has been open since she started doing this. And she's digging into these maps and she's finding all sorts of things. She's already been helpful with Glenn and Charlene with the Hayfield book. And I anticipate finding a whole lot of other things in that map collection. So I just wanted to commend you and say thank you.
Thank you.
Rachel, by the way, we have an old, I forget the year on it, an old Newport utility connection book.
It stands many years. It
Yeah.
stands many
No,
years.
goes back to the 1800s.
Does it go all the way back to the 1800s?
Yes, yes.
And Rachel is giving us an index of that so that it's a lot easier to search and find different houses so that you can get an idea of when a house was actually built. And that's why we got the little table. It's a book about this big and it's very, very heavy, and she needed a little table to work off of. So anyway, thank you to both of you. Leach cabin, I wish I had something more to tell you. I had a meeting with Senator Will Schroeder and the Transportation Department on the piece of property that's next door to where the leach cabin is now. And the problem they have is that there's a new road coming from Johns Hill Road down to Pools Creek, and the transportation is well aware of the fact that as this afternoon showed us, they have a tremendous problem with the AA, especially there in Wilder, especially there by 275. But they don't know what to do with it, and therefore they're not willing to let loose of any piece of property. And so it's on their 6-year plan. So they said if you want to wait 6 years, then maybe it'll be available. I said, I don't think we want to do that, but thank you anyway. So that's where that one stands. I'm still looking at other pieces. I just talked to a guy the other day, and he's having dreams of how much his property's worth. So that's where that one stands. Dan mentioned the Silver Grove reunion. It was a little wet last weekend, and it got rescheduled. Okay, they chose not to do it, and it has been rescheduled for September 29th. I still think it's going to be a good event. We have a bit of a conflict in that it's the same day as the Daniel Goff Memorial, so I don't know how we're going to get that all taken care of, but we'll see if we can't still get some people out there to man that for a couple hours. Senior picnic is September 20th. Which is next week. Dan is doing that, I'm doing it, and Sharon said she wanted to do it. That's at Hendry Park from 11 to 4. Welcome to come out and join them, okay? I talked about the Daniel Goff Memorial. That is September 29th, and Jan talked about that at Florence Baptist Church. Last thing I have for tonight is to remind you, November is our annual election. Okay? At our annual election, all of the officers are up for election, so that is myself and Pam and Dan and Glenn. We also have a couple of board members that are up for election, and I invite anyone who's interested in being a board member, let me know, and I'll put your name on the ballot, okay? And we'll have elections in November then. That would be the end that I have for this evening. Anybody else have anything? Nobody else? Everybody be safe going home. Thank you so much.